after Sunday's elections in Venezuela, the National Electoral Council, controlled by the incumbent president, announced the re-election of Nicolas Maduro. According to them, after processing 80% of the ballots, he allegedly received 51% of the votes, while the candidate of the United Opposition, Edmundo González, received 44%. The opposition is confident that the results were rigged. Thousands of people gathered in the center of the capital, banning pots and pans, and then began to set fire to tires, rubbish and cars. I will fight for democracy in my country. We must continue to fight for young people, for the youth, for my grandchildren and children. In response, police and soldiers fired plastic bullets and tear gas at demonstrators. According to the Human Rights Organization for a panel, 11 people were killed in the clashes, including children. It is also reported that about 750 demonstrators have been detained.
The population of Venezuela, now seeing yet another injustice, simply doesn't want to live another term under the current regime. Again, given the support from autocracies, including China, I think Maduro is counting on the support of his autocratic partners.
Meanwhile, more than 10 countries have announced that they do not recognize the results of the presidential elections in Venezuela. Caracas has announced that it is recalling diplomatic personnel from Argentina, the Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, Panama, Uruguay and Chile. They are completely breaking off diplomatic relations with Peru because the state recognized the opposition Edmundo González as the winner of the presidential elections. At the same time, such close allies of Maduro as Russia, China, Iran and Cuba have already welcomed his so-called victory.
This club of autocracies is now becoming more consolidated. They understand that democracy today is a direct threat to their power, their control, and therefore we see that elections in Venezuela, held in the best Russian traditions, are simply an attempt to legitimize the current Maduro regime.
The European Union is among those who do not recognize the results of the elections in Venezuela. They explain the decision by the fact that not all the votes have been counted yet and there are no protocol data. EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Josep Borrell said that the European Union would decide on possible further steps only after the final results are known.
We cannot recognize results that has been first announced without any possibility of verification. And secondly, there is only 80% of the vote. And for us it's important to remark that as far as it's not a fully verification of the results cannot be recognized. And these records of the electoral results should have been provided immediately after the counting.
The United States is also concerned about the results of the presidential elections in Venezuela. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that they did not reflect the will of the Venezuelan people. Washington will consider the option of imposing sanctions on Venezuela, depending on what the current authorities do.
Maduro and his representatives declared themselves the winner of what we believe is a national election that was undermined by anti-democratic actions, political repression, and electoral manipulation. The secretary was very clear about this over yesterday. The international community is watching and will respond accordingly. The best path forward is for a clear publication of the tabulation data. That is what is owed to the election observers. That's what's owed to the opposition, and we'll take this process one step at a time.
Nicolas Maduro has been in power for 11 years. He was first elected in 2013 after the death of the previous president, Hugo Chavez. Critics accuse Maduro of authoritarianism, supporting a dictatorial regime and imprisoning opposition politicians, as well as not allowing free participation in elections. Maduro calls his opponents fascists and demons. Reported by Diana Kolesnik, Nikita Skoblikov, UATV News.